Hello again. I think we'll go ahead and get started for sake of time. My name is Sydney Doctor, and I am the Director of Events here at GLI. Thanks so much for joining us on this call this afternoon. I will be turning it over to Rebecca Wood in just a couple of minutes, but if everybody can, again, just remember to mute your line. If you can also, please turn off your video unless you are a presenter, just to try to reduce any of the distractions. We will be using the chat feature that's located at the bottom of your screen, so feel free to start sending us questions. We will be having a Q&A portion towards the end, and we'll try to get through as many questions as we can. We are also recording this session today, and so we will be putting that on the GLI website and sending out through social channels as well afterwards this afternoon. And we are also capturing all of the chat information. So if we don't get to your question, we will send those to our representatives, who will try to answer those and get back with you as soon as possible. So now I would like to introduce Rebecca Wood. She is our Greater Louisville Inc.'s COO and VP of Investor Development, and she'll tell us a little bit about this afternoon's discussion. Rebecca?
Hi, Sydney. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I hope each of you are well and staying safe. We are extremely grateful today to have the Center Director for Louisville Small Business Development Center, David Oetken, to join us and provide important updates from the SBA and SBDC on the latest resources available to you. Unfortunately, we did learn only a short time ago this morning that Tommie Causey, a lead economic development specialist from Kentucky's district office for the U.S. Small Business Administration, is going to be unable to present to us today. With all of the changing details and regulations in Washington, the SBA has been asked to pause their participation in calls and webinars for a brief time. They want to ensure they're providing the most accurate and up-to-date information possible to our business community. And I'm sure we can all understand with how quickly things are changing right now and how swiftly we're all having to move and adapt the position that they're in. So we are extremely lucky that we had Dave with us that can speak to so many things that are really important to this group, and that we could continue to have this critical conversation today. So before I turn things over to Dave, just a quick outline for today's discussion. So after a brief presentation from Dave, we're going to take some questions from you. I will moderate those in today's Q&A portion of the program. Please use the chat feature that's located at the bottom of your screen, and feel free to send those questions throughout the presentation. You don't need to wait to the end. And then our team will sort through those questions. We'll try to get as many answered as we can in the time we have scheduled for today's call. And then, as Sydney mentioned, we will have a summary as well as some resources available on greaterlouisville.com later today or tomorrow, just I would assume. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Dave to give us a brief presentation.
Well, thanks, Rebecca. I've done a few of these, so I'm just going to clarify a couple things first. So if you're unfamiliar with the Zoom feature, so if you put your cursor over your thumbnail, you picture yourself up in the right-hand corner, there'll be a little box that'll allow you to either turn yourself on or off, and that'll give you access to the chat feature. So again, we're asking everyone to mute their line and then turn your video off to reduce distractions for everybody else. Also, I'd just like to say that I guess over the last 2-3 weeks, I've done maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 of these informational sessions where we talk about the different loan products and things. And I have to apologize to a lot of you guys who I recognize your names on the call here today. But it seems that pretty much everything we told you in the past has been totally wrong, as changes in the procedures and have gone forward. And that happened again this morning when the website was changed, and actually kind of again it's kind of been streamlined, and actually it's actually a little bit better. So again, what I'll do today is basically I'm going to tell you what I know as of today, which could be changed totally different tomorrow. Then we'll, as you go through, let's just get some questions going. This actually helps us because we'll be able to record all your questions in the chat feature. Questions we don't know the answer to, then we will go ahead and do as much research as you can and capture that information where we can start to build a body of knowledge where we can share with everybody going forward. So also another little caveat that we need to discuss is right now I can kind of talk fairly intelligently about the economic injury disaster loans. We've heard a lot of news about the CARE Act and what's in that, and right now without any guidance from the SBA, everything I would say will only be speculation. So so I'm not going to really talk about that today. I know that's probably all your questions are about that, or the Payroll Protection Act, things like that. I can't help you there right now. It'll all just be speculation. So with that, let's just focus on what we can do today, because we can apply for these loans today. We can't apply for anything else right now. So I'm going to try to share my screen with you guys, and we'll just walk through a little presentation, and I'll show you the website as it looks today, and we will see what happens. Hang on just a second here. All right, can everybody see that okay? Good. So we'll just quickly talk about the SBA Economic Injury Loan, the EIDL loan as we call it. And it is available to basically all small businesses, including contractors, sole proprietors, also private nonprofit organizations. So there's a question on what is a private nonprofit organization? And that is actually most nonprofits. Public nonprofit organizations are things like county governments or city governments, state governments. So basically, if you own a nonprofit, these loans are available to you. Some approval requirements are you have to have acceptable credit history. The SBA will do some determination, which is kind of nebulous at this time, that the business entity has the ability to repay that loan. And the business must be physically located in a disaster declared county. So for example, if I think the entire United States is a disaster area now, but prior to that, if I was physically located in one state that was not a disaster area, but I did a lot of my business in an area that was a disaster area, I could not claim, couldn't access this loan at this time. And the deal is pretty nice. It's loans up to $2 million. It's 3.75% for small businesses, 2.75% rate for nonprofits. It could be up to a 30-year term. So if you do the math, your payments are spread out quite a bit, which makes them quite affordable for the most instances. The first payment is not due until the 11th month after you receive funds, and the interest only accrues on funds that you receive. So that's not a bad deal. So what can we use these funds for? You can use it for basically anything to operate your business going forward, like fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, any bills that would have been paid had the disaster not occurred. As part of the calculation, what you may be asked is to kind of vet what the amount you would need to get. So if you think about what your everyday requirements are for these type of debts, and then project that out maybe 6 months, maybe through the end of the year almost, you can make the case then, and that would be something I would be interested in kind of getting. What they can't be used to is replace lost sales or profits. So let's just say you're still profitable and doing fairly well, but you're down a little bit, you can't really use it for that, or you can't use it to expand your business going forward. These are just things to keep you going. Right now, here's something that's already popped up that I've seen that might be different is this, as of last week, EIDL loans over $25,000 required collateral. Below $25,000 was unsecuritized. So, but I saw something today where this new law may have changed that, where up to $200,000 might not be collateralized. So again, I don't have any guidance on that yet. SBA will take real estate as collateral when it's available, but the SBA will not decline you because of the lack of collateral, but they'll require you to pledge whatever you have available as part of that. Here's where you can apply. The disaster loan, sba.gov.ela. When you go to that website, you'll just see a big red box that says apply here. Click that and you can get started. They've ramped up these customer service centers. If you have issues, you can certainly check in there or make application there. So let's just kind of run through the what you'll see. So if you go to the disaster loan website, you basically have 3-4 steps, and this what you'll see when you pop up first. And if you look under eligible entity verification, you just look through here and determine which box to check that applies to you. So, I just checked applicants as business with not more than employees. It's just a basic business. The box below that, let's give some little clarification for that. So if you are a sole proprietorship or an independent contractor, you would check that. And what makes you different there is that you use your Social Security number when you file your taxes, and you file Schedule C on your personal taxes for your business activity. That's where you would click there. If you're an LLC with an EIN number, well, then you are a business with not more than 500 employees. It also has some other buttons that you can press, ESOPs, travel businesses, nonprofits, things like that. So let's move on. So on the same page, just moving a little bit lower, you'll have to review and check all the following. So these are the basic SBA requirements that they've followed for years. You're not engaged in any illegal activity. You're not in a delinquent in child support. You're not an agricultural enterprise, farms. So this has caused a lot of questions. Farmers are not eligible for this, but there is a lot of help through the USDA and some of the other more agricultural organizations that they can tap into. So this is basically for business activity. I know you can kind of think of a farm as a business, but in this instance, not the case. So once you check those, you hit continue, you go to the next page, and you just fill out your information. So your business legal name, your EIN type. There's a drop-down box there that'll kind of show that. And then right now, the financial information that you need to know and have on hand is your gross revenues for your business in the past 12 months, and then your cost of goods sold for the past 12 months. Put that in there and scroll down a little bit. And if you have rental properties, both residential and commercial, now can get help through this loan process. So you would fill that out. Here's something on nonprofits next, and then some other financial information there. And then, just a couple of questions on compensation and how you're fixed for funds going forward. And then the last part of that page is just some more business information, when it was established, phone number, your business activity is a drop-down box. These mirror the NAICS codes, and then drill down into the second drop-down box. Put your number of employees and click next. And then here's where we get into who owns the business. So you just fill out your name, phone number, and then your ownership percent. So let's just say you own 50% of this business. You would put 50% there, and your social security number, and scroll down, fill out the rest of this information on yourself. So since you own 50% of this business, you have to add an additional owner, because those percentages have to add to 100%. So if it's just you would put 100% in that box. If there's you and other people, then you would add as many additional owners that you would have to at that time. Then you click next, and so finally, then you have a couple additional information questions to ask, and these are, have you been convicted of a crime? Are you prevented from contracting with the federal government? Are you under indictment? Yes or no? Now, so there's been kind of a cottage industry that's kind of popping up now about people charging to fill this form out for others. And if you paid somebody to do this for you, then you have to disclose that. On earlier iterations, they asked that you were prevented from paying more than $1,500 to get help to do this. I think everybody, once you look at this, you can kind of understand it's fairly simple, and I don't think you really need to pay anybody to do this for you. So do whatever you need to do there, and then scroll down a little bit more. Another feature of this new application is this ability to get immediate disaster help grant, which was just kind of approved by Congress. So you click that box right there if you would like to be considered for an advance of up to $10,000. And then it asks for where to send the funds. So you'll need your bank name, your account number, and the routing number of the bank, because they'll wire that to you within 3 days is the goal. Read your disclosures, click that you agree that this is all true, then click next. And then here's a screenshot of the summary page, which is basically reiterates everything that you put into the form. You can kind of scan that, look for mistakes. And then at the bottom, just make sure you click your CAPTCHA there and then click submit. And basically, there you go. That's all we have right now. Can this change tomorrow? Yes. So this is what I'm telling you, that as of about 6 a.m. this morning, this is the application process that we're aware of right now. So with that, there's my contact info. That's actually my cell phone. I'm just that brave, and if you think I can help you, you can call me anytime. And I'll leave that up for a few seconds for you guys to jot that down. I know many of you guys on the call recognize your name, so hello to everybody. So with that, we can take take some questions and see if we can help you out. Oh, you need to unmute there, Rebecca.
All right, now I'm off. Thank you for that.
There you go.
All right. Thank you for that overview, and I appreciate it. Those can be tricky systems to try to figure out how to navigate, so definitely appreciate that. We're going to head into the Q&A portion of our call today, and we're excited to have both Christy Jarboe with Louisville Forward and Jen Rubenstein with LIBA as partners in this today, of course, along with Dave. So again, friendly reminder to use the chat feature at the bottom of your screen, and I know that you guys are. Now, I know that there are a lot of questions in here specifically to the CARES Act and payroll questions, and I know Dave said that he is not probably ready to answer some of those. I will say that if you are not receiving GLI's daily email, please let me know. We do have some information for small businesses related to that coming out in that email today. So hopefully that'll be able to help some of those. And then I will be capturing these to make sure if we do not have questions that we can answer for you today, that we can help to drill those down and get a good contact for you to help those. There is a question in here in the mechanics of how the staff gets paid. And Iris Wilbur, I think you are on the call with GLI. The question is, if they filed for unemployment and it's effective on April the 1st that they're covered, does the employer have to pay them the difference between unemployment and their normal pay? Do you have any guidance on that? Maybe she dropped off.
Oh, well, from what I understand, and again, this could be totally wrong, but if you furlough your employees today, they can apply immediately for unemployment, but you're not on the hook for paying them until they get the unemployment.
Okay.
You furlough them, and it's up to them to file for unemployment after that.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Question for you, Dave. Does this program apply to subsidiaries or office specified needs?
Well, there's a question in there that asks whether you are owned by another entity. So I'm not sure, what the whether you can apply or not. All I can tell you is what I've been told numerous times is just apply, and they'll tell you yes or no. So I would go ahead and apply and see what happens. You can't win unless you play. You've heard that before, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure on this next question if you want to weigh in on this. There's a question: if it is better for their employees what is better for our employees, unemployment or us bringing them back right away if this is only for the next 8 weeks?
I don't know. I mean, this is just an opinion.
Yeah,
You know, if it were, I don't know. I hate to jump in on that, but
yep, that's completely fine.
The whole idea is what you want to do is preserve as much cash as you can, and preserve your assets so that you can live to fight another day. And do you know that 8 weeks is enough time? We don't, you know. So, you know, I think that I would prepare myself for no revenue for maybe, you know, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. I just don't know. I mean, nobody knows, but
Right.
I would prepare for the worst. And so, you know, preserve those, you know, don't, you know, make sure you do what you need to do first, you know, do the hard things first, and preserve that cash.
Great. Thanks, Dave. There's a question if we know if the 7A and 7B loan funding has gone through. A question of when they can start to refer their small business members to their local banks. Do you have any guidance on that?
So the 7A program has been active all throughout this. I mean, that's the regular program. And I do know that I've been told that, you know, some of those, you know, the SBA wants you to access those things. This, they call it, just for a better term, lack of a better term, the 7B, which is this new CARE Act things that just came out. So again, I don't really have a lot of information. I have a lot of information, and not a lot of it doesn't match what just came out a couple days ago. But you know, until we get clear guidance on what is allowed, how this is all going to work, you know, I really don't know what to say on that. But I will say though that this EIDL loan, you can apply for that today. I don't know when you can apply for any of these other things. You know, it could be Friday, it could be 3 weeks from now. And just through my experience with the EIDL loan over the last 3 weeks, you know, what happened on day one is totally different than what's happening today. So, you know, it's anybody's guess is what's going to happen as far as the CARE Act stuff yet.
Gotcha. Yep, you're up again. If someone leaves on their own will within the 8-week period, but they have counted them in the SBA monthly payroll, does this mean they'll be out of compliance and risk losing the forgivable portion?
Again, that's CARE Act, and I don't have any guidance on that yet.
Okay. That's fine.
You can't even apply for it. There's nothing to even do about it yet.
Yeah. Sydney, are you still out there?
Yes, I am.
So I think this may be a good question for you. It says LuBiz planned several small business events that were postponed. Their Small Business Expo is still set for May 27th, and businesses are signing up like crazy. How do they compensate for the canceled events that venues and clients were paid but no refunds? Any guidance on that from what we've been doing?
I did see that question, and I also saw somebody responded, and kind of what I would be saying as well is just to check your force majeure clauses. Luckily, you know, with GLI events, we were able to use those force majeure clauses, and the venues and our vendors that we've been using recently. Everybody's kind of pulled in and really been a community with this. They know that it wasn't our own doing of canceling these events. So I would just kind of push back a little bit more and see, you know, don't really, if your venues are saying, no, I'm sorry, that can't happen, push back even a little bit more, and really try to get them to see the broader kind of community for this. And I've also was talking with Louisville Tourism, and they kind of said the same thing. Sometimes it falls within force majeure, and then sometimes it's not. So there's not real clear definition right now. Great.
Thank you. Jen Rubenstein with LIBA, anything else that you all would add? I know you guys are heavily in this space and have some events that I'm sure have been impacted. Anything else you would add to what Sydney shared?
I would mainly add that hopefully if you can reschedule those, that's a great case scenario. But I do understand that some events just don't lend themselves to that. So I would just reiterate the advice that you guys just gave.
Okay, thank you for that. I know we're all kind of living in this world, and everybody's just trying to figure out the best path forward.
That's right.
Dave, Lisa Siebert has a good question here. On the cost of goods sold, what would they put in for a service-based business since they don't have a cost of goods sold?
Well, some service-based businesses count some labor as cost of goods sold. So let's say, for example, I don't know. Here's so to try to use a good example for Lisa, let's just say that I sell graphic design, for example, and so I sell it at $100 an hour. I hire a contractor to do it for $50 an hour, and then I keep the other $50. Well, that's a cost of goods sold because it's a variable expense that's part of that job. So you could do it that way.
Hey, Dave, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Would that apply to payroll or just contract services?
Payroll is not cost of goods sold. That's a definite no on that one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and is there a way to print the forms out ahead of time so that they can know what info is necessary so they don't have to time out while they're completing it?
So yes, on last Friday, that would be yes. Today, no. So, so as when we walk through this little show here, I mean, you know the answers to all these questions already. The only things that you would need to look up is your EIN number, maybe your account number, and your bank routing number. Those are the only things that I kind of had to look around to find. Everything else you just know, so you know right off the top of your head. So it's a real easy application. So go for it. And so far today it has not locked up at all. So I guess they've really done some good work here. I hope so anyway.
Good. A question about what nonprofit organizations are supposed to put in the owner box. Should they use an executive director, their board chair, or just leave that blank?
That is a good question that I don't really have an answer to. I think the SBA will want a contact person. So I think I would put something there. So I don't know. Do the best you can. I mean, that's a good question. We'll find out about that and shoot that out to everybody. But
thank you for that.
Again, this thing's only 5 hours old. I don't have a lot of answers for it either.
Come on now. There is a question, and I don't know if you would be comfortable to answer this, but can business owners take partial unemployment for themselves?
Oddly enough, I can answer this because of our good friend Christina Shadle helped us with that. But yeah, if you're an owner of a business and you get W-2 income, you just don't take owner's draw or 1099. If you actually get a W-2 at the end of the year, you can file for unemployment. So that's
Right.
a definite.
Okay. And then there is a request to get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. I'm sure we can make that available. Sydney will get that from Dave. If companies submitted the old form versus this one and then the process changes, do they need to reapply or does their info save?
That's another good question that I don't know the answer to that we've been working on to find out. So I don't know. Right now, I don't know. So I have been told by some of the other folks that have applied the old way where they upload the forms when it first came out, and they got notification from the SBA in about 3 or 4 days. So if you just applied like last Friday or last Thursday, I would wait a little bit longer to see what happens. And hopefully by then we'll have some guidance on that. So I'm hoping that just all didn't go into a big old box somewhere and you have to start all over again. But I don't know the answer to that, unfortunately.
Gotcha. There's one in here that says it reads that even if the loan is denied, that you can still receive the $10,000. And is that correct? And does it have to be repaid?
Well, it says it's a grant. That just kind of popped up today too. So yes, you're supposed to get that. It said you could get that money in 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So why not?
Perfect. And do we know if they're going to be able to take advantage of both the EIDL and CARES, or is that yet to be determined?
Yeah, that's been a real back and forth on that, so early on, you could only do one or the other. And then about a week ago, you could do both. And then this morning, I saw a couple of things where you could only do one or the other. So, but again, if I was going to make a recommendation, which means it doesn't mean it's right, but I know I can apply for this loan today, this EIDL loan today. I don't know when any of these other things are going to come out or how the process is going to go. If I apply for the EIDL loan and get it, I don't have to take the money. There's no fees to apply. So, in a crisis situation, always do what you can do today. Don't wait for something better in the future. So do what you can do today. And they're not, just make your best judgment on that, but do what you can. I don't know what's going to happen on this, this CARE Act thing. So that's what I would do.
Okay. And can you give them the web address again for the application? You have that handy.
Yeah, let me scroll back up here for you. I should have put that at the end. There it is.
Perfect. Thank you for that. A question, does the loan start charging interest right away or after the 11 months? So
it charges interest on the money that you actually take. And there's been some discussion on, for example, they may have to fund in different tranches. You get a little bit now, a little bit later, but it just depends on if you take the money, then the interest accrues on the amount that you receive, but no payment is due until the 11th month.
Perfect. Thank you. Here is one. The state closed my office on March 21st. How did the benefits change from state unemployment insurance and then the feds kick in on 4/1?
That's a good question that I don't know the answer to. I'm not really an HR specialist, to be honest with you.
Yep, that's fine. How do you segregate loan funds so that you can prove that the loan money went to pay covered expenses? If you get back in business, all of your normal expenses will resume. So how do you show that loan funds went toward allowed expenditures and not raw materials?
That is another good question that we're waiting for guidance on as well. But again, if you have good records, then you should be able to prove where funds went. But again, I don't really have a clear answer on that one. We're still waiting on some guidance on that.
Okay, perfect. What's the rate on the EIDL loan? You may have said it and I missed it, but she's also asking, is it fixed?
Yes, it is fixed at 3.75% for businesses, for-profit businesses, and 2.75% for nonprofits.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Alana says, Dave, go home. You're not supposed to be in the office. Let's see here. That's the same question. If you filled out an SBA applications a few weeks ago, do we need to fill out the new one? Yet to be determined. I have a client who is an LLC but files as a sole prop with a Schedule C. So they have both an EIN and a Social Security number. How would they apply?
That's a good question. I really don't know. It kind of depends on, I don't know. That's a good, I have no answer for that one. I really don't. That's tough.
Okay.
But I guess, I don't know. I guess I really don't know. I shouldn't be answering tax questions like that.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's okay. In regards to a previous answer, can you file for partial unemployment or is it all or nothing?
I think it's all or nothing. But again, I'm not an HR guy, but I would assume it's all or nothing. I've never really heard of anybody doing partial unemployment.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. If the service business is an independent medical office and their visits are considered cost of goods, how would you tell them to estimate that? Any guidance on that?
Yeah, you can calculate cost of goods sold just using a percentage. So For example, if I know my my average revenue, I can calculate what my average cost per visit is, and what I make from that, I can divide my cost by the revenue, and that would give me a percentage. So I could use that to calculate the cost of goods sold. So I would just multiply that by that percentage.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, that is getting us to the end of the questions without being able to answer some of these questions that are payroll and HR related. I would go ahead and add just a quick note. So at 3 p.m. on Thursday, we're going to host another small business resources call featuring MCM CPAs and Frost Brown Todd, and GLI is going to participate with those partners that may be able to address some of these critical questions. Plus, it's going to give a few days to be able to get through some of these details. So hopefully, any questions that you have that we can't answer for you today, we will be able to provide more guidance on that call if you'd like to join us. And you will see more details coming out on that in the coming day or two, and options on how to join that call. I would like to say thank you to Dave for answering all of these questions, and Sydney and Jim, Leba, and Christy with Louisville Forward. I know these are some changing times and some difficult questions to have to answer right now. So I would like to say thank you to everybody for joining the call. We are all in this together, and with GLI as the voice of your business community, we are continuing to try and support you during this critical time with the latest news and impacts on your business. We'll continue to provide resources to help you and your employees get through this crisis. We are working extremely hard to plan for how our community is going to prepare for a time after COVID-19. As a reminder, the discussion today was recorded, and we will be posting it to our website at www.greaterlouisville.com and social channels to refer back to if needed. You have Dave's information that has been up for most of the presentation, but if you need any connection to him, we would be more than happy to help that. And he is obviously an amazing resource that we are blessed to have. If you have any additional questions, just let us know. And everybody, please stay safe and stay well and have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thanks.